Good morning, my Teaserking family. How is everybody today? Happy Thanksgiving. I hope you ate well and everybody's healthy. Daria's got a fever today, so I don't know. Hope she gets better. All right, so I've got till about 10:30, so it'll be a quick 45-minute class. I have an appointment at Toyota to get the oil changed, and I will come back on. I'll go to the pool and then come back on for economics or whatever else. Let's take a quick look at gold. Gold was jumping today, 26.58. It got up to 26.65. Went down a little. I love how the ad covers the graph. Like, yeah, that's good. So you can see it's on an uptick, 26.58. Not a lot. I don't expect much movement after. Well, maybe. I don't know if the U.S. is working today or not. There was a little movement at 10, which I was surprised. Probably London. And then silver 30.64. And again, don't worry, it's going to go through the roof. I saw some things on Russia real quickly where they, some guys, oh, Russia's broke and this and that. And Russia's not broke. Because the ruble is not worth much, it's now $1.08. So for $1, I can buy 108 rubles. It was about 80. So when I sent Daria last week, it was like 95. Now it's 108, which means she gets more money, but the money's not worth anything, as we know. Welcome to the wonderful world of inflation, where the money becomes worthless. So you might have more, but it's not worth anything. So I don't know. She has the flu. So stay in bed, get over it. Anyway, so now about them nuking. They won't nuke. They have that new missile that's whatever, that just very explosive. So they'll send that instead of nukes. So they don't want to nuke because they get nuked back. They don't want to kill everybody. Putin's not a nut. So he's got this new missile, and why the U.S. these last few weeks before Trump takes over wants to Biden. Yeah, I destroyed the world. That's my thing. He's deranged, Biden. So all we can hope is Trump or Putin waits till Trump gets in and Trump ends the war, and then we don't have this shit. But so what's been happening is really just the U.S. Why the gold went down was the U.S. trying to get out of their positions as the December close happened, right? So now they've closed the December contracts. So the time it run your option's good until X, and when X hits, if you can't exercise your option, you lose it. So the U.S. was trying to get out of as many options. That's why you saw it go down. But now they played that card, and now we'll see it go much, much higher. As you can see, it's back into the 2650s. And I was watching a little Mark McGuire, and he's like $3,000 gold is minimum. That's what they're calling for. And I'm sure we'll see much higher. So have faith. Silver, it's how long will COMEX last? That's the key, but that's why it's low. It's not because there's no demand. So when you're looking to buy something, you're looking at the the free market price, as we talked about. So when we see Rolex at 100,000, that's the free market. Nobody is holding it down. When we see gold and silver, JP Morgan's holding it down. God knows why. I assume it's because we have no gold and he wants to keep it down because China and Russia have all the gold. So he doesn't, they're already going to be rich. So everybody's, oh, China's broke, Russia's broke. No, they have gold, morons. And they're going to just switch their dollar to gold. And you're forcing them. And they love it because they want an excuse and say, hey, our dollar collapsed. We had to go to a gold-backed currency. So that's what's happening. And it'll be go buy. It's Friday. You're not working. Go buy gold, buy silver. I lose a little pay because I don't get paid for these 2 days. So I'll probably wait a week or two. And then I'm going to buy. I might buy a little. I was trying to settle my money in the safe at the point I wanted, and I hit that goal. So I really don't want to take it out again and then wait. And then when I get the payment, I'll use it. But right now, I just I'm happy where I'm at with my money in the safe. So now from now on, it's all the money, all the extra money after paying my bills goes right to the gold and silver store. All right, let's talk college football. Well, let's talk pros yesterday. The Lions, how did they not cover? I don't know. Really, it came down to the guy missed the kick. If he makes the kick, it's 26-13. Chicago scores, it's 26-20, and the game ends. So really not quite sure. They got so many injuries, the Lions defense, and all Caleb does is run around. It's hysterical. And then Keenan Allen has some good moves. We know he's a good receiver. So he got open working against the 4-string cornerbacks. But the Lions should never have gotten that close. They didn't score in the second half. So, if the guy hits the field goal, we win. But that's the problem with these high lines. That's why it wasn't a lock. It was just a normal play. I did have Green Bay over. So my two plays yesterday were the Lions minus 4.5. It went down to 3.5. And San Francisco, and Green Bay, Miami over 41, which it got there near the end of the game, but it got there. I think it was a 48 or something like that. Yeah, 37-11. No, it was 30-something to 11. Yeah, 30-11, and then it went 30-18. So it was a 48. I think that was the final. Miami, again, they're just smoke and mirrors. They're not very good. They don't run very good. Green Bay looked great. Detroit plays Green Bay. We'll be betting on Green Bay, I have a feeling, especially with all these injuries to Detroit. See, this is what happens. Everybody in Detroit saying, oh, we're going to the Super Bowl. I don't see how we can't. Well, yeah, you get a lot of injuries and you ain't doing shit. Look at Frisco with all their injuries this year, and they're not doing shit. Dallas looks much better without Dak Prescott. I just didn't I didn't know what to do with the game. I thought Dallas would win, but it was 3.5. And then I thought probably an under because they're playing the Giants it wasn't even Danny DeVito, it was Drew Lock. And all these quarterbacks want to run. It's just hysterical. They go in the pocket and they run for 5-10 yards. And it's like, it just shows you they don't know how to read a defense and can't throw the ball. I'd much rather have you hit the receiver for 15 yards than run. Brady didn't run. Mahomes really doesn't run too much. Joe Burrow, he doesn't do that shit. He throws the ball to Chase. That's what you want, your quarterback to throw the ball to the running back. All right. 5 college locks going tomorrow and 2 pro locks going on Sunday. I've added 1 college game for those of you who have bought the college or the week's picks. I did add a college game today. Not a lot today. There's a few Colorado State, Utah State. I like Utah State getting the points, but The quarterback's questionable, and I haven't seen an update in the injury. So if he plays, Utah State's been on fire scoring. East Car Navy, I kind of liked East Car as the dog. East Car's been on fire with Hauser, the quarterback from Total Recall. I do think East Car wins. I didn't play that. I don't know what to do with Colorado. So let's go through the lines. Ohio is 17-52.5 to Ball State. Ball State's an over team with a 40 defense. Ohio is a B team with an 18 defense. But you got your 17 points to an over team, which means that Ohio should score 35, but Ball State might score. So that's where you got to be very careful. You can't go over because Ohio doesn't. They're an average team. They got a pretty good defense, so it makes it very confusing. Minnesota's now a 1-point favorite, 41 to Wisconsin. I got to change that as soon as I can find it. So this went from Wisconsin -2 to mini -1. And 41. So the total really hasn't changed, and what's changed is Wisconsin being favored. Let's go. East Carolina now 2.5, 55.5 over the Navy. Actually, the Navy quarterback has hurt ribs, so I don't know if he's playing. I like East Carolina here if he's out. We don't know yet, but I think even if he plays, he's got hurt ribs. I can't believe these guys don't wear rib protectors. To see all these rib injuries, you're like, just wear the John Elway rib flak jacket, Prime time, 16.5, 66.5. The numbers went up from 64 to 65 to 66, but the 16 has stayed. Colorado, they show a pretty good defense, and it looks like you can run on them. So is Ali Gordon going to play good today? Excuse me. I mean, if I was Oklahoma State after watching Kansas last week, all I would do is give the ball to Ali Gordon 62 times today. Colorado's an A team now with the 24 defense. So it's got a little weaker since Kansas got a hold of them. Kansas didn't punt the whole game. I think they had 7 drives, 7 scores. Oak State over team, 34 defense. So Colorado should score in this game. Oak State is pretty lethal, but they haven't been playing good. They did play good last week. They did put up about 40 points. So what normally would be an over for me, I don't know what to think of Oak State. Colorado's defense is fairly good. Colorado should light them up, but again, how strong is Oak State gonna score today? Which then it's hard to lay 16 down to 10. Colorado, I don't know. They might be out of it now. Well, actually, I think they're close. There's like 9 teams because there's 4 teams with 2 losses and 5 teams with 3 losses. So they must be one of the 5, but I don't see how they have a chance. They just lost to Kansas isn't even in the mix, and they're the best team in the league right now. So anyway, if you like prime and it's Thanksgiving, maybe lay the 10. It's a tough one. Maybe go over. That's a tough one. If Oak State plays, it'll be an over. But Colorado's defense has been good, so you don't know what you're getting. Oak State's defense sucks. It's a 34. So look for Colorado to score early and often. The question is, will Oak State match it? Then it's an over. If they won't, it's a Colorado. We'll find out. Boise, 17.5, 58 to Oregon State. Okay, this number hasn't moved. Oregon State, let's see how they did against Washington State. They've had some injuries. And let's see, Oregon State. Yeah, they beat Washington State 41-38. So interesting. They scored 13 on San Jose State and lose. They scored 0 on Air Force. And then they put up 41 on Washington State. So let's see. Oh, yeah, they switched quarterbacks. So this guy Gulbranson was the quarterback last week, and he was 22 of 34 with 2 touches and 2 interceptions. The other game against Air Force, it was McCoy and Johnson. So you can see when the quarterback's out, there's a problem. So Gulberson played pretty well against Washington State. Injuries, Oregon State, Jesus. Well, a lot of questionable. Wide receiver out, D lineman out, wide receiver out. The rest are questionables. And Boise, all you care about is Gentry. He's fine. He's not on the list, and only one guy out. So Boise needs the game. Oregon State's not too bad. I think it's a bit big, 18 and a half, 17 and a half, 18. The way Boise's not been blowing out teams. So they're probably trying to get Gentry the ball, and they're keen on Gentry. They probably got the whole defense on him. Bowling Green, 2.5, 39 to Miami of Ohio. Miami of Ohio is an under team, 17 defense. Bowling Green's an 18 with a 19 defense. So I would think it's a low scoring game, but it's already in the total of 39, so it makes it difficult. Hate playing unders when there's not only to get 40. So it should be a close game. It should be a good game. Absolutely. Texas State won and 61 to South Alabama. My last 2 locks against Southern Miss. Unfortunately, they're not playing Southern Miss. That's why I like the lock against Southern Miss. So Texas State won 61. I got another 15 minutes. Texas State an 18 to 23 defense. Great quarterback in McLeod. He should be the top quarterback drafted if they're smart enough. South Alabama, a B team. Gio Lopez is their quarterback. He's pretty good. 24 defense. Normally Texas State scores and plays a big game, but they're not. There's North Texas, who I think has the North Texas is the over team. They score a lot, but they give up 36 a game, where Texas State only gives up 23. So there is a difference in the Texases. But this should be a very good game, pretty balanced and pretty good scoring. Colorado State, Utah State. I love Utah State, but I looked, the quarterback's hurt, but he's questionable, and this is 5 days ago. Colorado State, lane 5, 58.5. This was 6, so maybe he's playing. Colorado State's an under team, 23 defense. Utah State's an over team. Scored 40 points the last 4 games against decent teams. Colorado State, you remember, lost to Colorado pretty bad, and then they played in conference. They beat San Jose State and the Air Force. I think they lost they beat Nevada last week. So again, if the quarterback plays, I think Utah State's pretty live here. A good over team, but they have no defense. So I'm not sure what to do. The 59, it's down to 58.5. So I don't know. Could be weather in Colorado. Could be snow. We'll have to check that. Well, let's check it now. But we don't know if we got the Utah State quarterback. Weather, partly cloudy, 44, winds light. No, there's no snow. Simon says no snow. Petrus, the quarterback, is questionable on November 24th. It's now November 29th. So that's, if he's okay to play, then yeah, this I think is a good play. Ole Miss and Old Mississippi State getting together. We got Ole Miss minus 25, we'll call it. Was 26. Money going on Old Mississippi State. The Sharps have lost their mind. Total of 61.5. First glance, I liked the over in the game because Old Mississippi State scores and has no defense. And Ole Miss can score, but the problem with Ole Miss is their great defense. This is a 14 defense with 2 stud defensive ends. It's hard to bet over when you got a very strong defense like this. So I don't know. It is a rivalry. I do think Old Mississippi State will score on them. Not a lot, maybe 14. Old Miss probably gets 40. So it puts it right where are they going to cover? It's a big number, 25. And are they going to go over 61-55? I would think it's still an over, but I'm scared because I've seen the Mississippi defense against Georgia. So thank you very much. Don't want to fuck with it. This is not the game to go over. You can go over, but it's really the game to go over is when you got weak defenses, not when you got, a 14 defense. Liberty, Sam Houston, Liberty 2.5, 47.5. Liberty, a B team, 24 defense. Sam Houston is a good team, an under team with a 20 defense. They've been playing good ball. They've been beating good teams and a very good defense. They're a home dog. I think I think they should be good today. Let's check injuries. You gotta love a team named after a guy, Sam Houston. How can you not bet that? A couple of questionables for Liberty. Sam Watson, the quarterback, has a concussion, but is Watson their quarterback? Oh, well, it's easy enough. So what you can do here is go down to quarterbacks, right? This is quarterback passing, and you can see the last few games. So this Watson's out, right? So you can see, is he the quarterback? And yes, well, he's been the quarterback the last 3 games. They beat Lutech, they beat Kennesaw State, and they lost to Jacksonville State when he probably got hurt. So Watson, yeah, you got to be careful with Watson. He's got a concussion. He's questionable. So you can't play him unless Watson plays. Maybe it's Tom Watson, the professional golfer. All right. So again, that's why you go to the injuries. San Jose State, Stanford, San Jose State, 2.5, 54.5. Stanford's been playing better. San Jose State's good. I don't know. I don't really like betting W teams. Stanford's a W with a 33. They have played better. They played Cal really good. And then San Jose State, an E team with a 26 defense. So Stanford could be a live dog, but I don't like playing W teams. Iowa, 39.5 to Nebraska. Iowa's an A team, 17 defense. Nebraska an under with a 20 defense. Iowa, the quarterback's out, McNamara, but they have a great running back, and they seem to play good at home, and it should be senior day. I think Iowa gets the win, but it's a hard. Nebraska's good defense, so I'd say under, but Iowa's not really an under team this year. They've been scoring. They're actually an A team. So I think Iowa senior day probably gets the W, but be careful. Georgia Tech, Georgia 18, 51.5. Down from 19. This went from 19.5 to 18. Actually, I see a 17.5. The question is, King, the quarterback, is he playing Georgia Tech? He's not listed as questionable. Georgia, the whole team's questionable. The running backs are now questionable. Brooks Robinson and R. Robinson. Etnine's out. A couple of wide receivers are questionable. But Carson Beck's playing. Georgia Tech beat NC State 30-29. They beat Miami 28-23. I think they'll be in the game. King did play. It was 3 of 3 for nothing. And then they brought in Philo, who was 19 of 33 and 1 interception. I don't like Philo, but King did play. King was 6 of 6 against Miami. So you're going to get a heavy dose of Georgia Tech running. Clemson, Beck. They beat UMass. They did beat Old Tennessee 31-17. They did lose to Mississippi 28-10. They beat Florida 34-20. Beat Texas 30-15. So they lost to Alabama. They lost to Ole Miss. But they did beat Texas, and they did beat Florida, and they did beat Tennessee. So it's a very confusing SEC, as we know. Georgia Tech plays them pretty well. It's a big rivalry, of course. 18. So it did go down from 19. I think it might have went down from 20. So they're going to run and do their little quick, very good offense against Georgia. So we'll see how that works. A few more minutes. And our last game tonight is UCF is now 10 and 46.5 to Utah. This was an 8, went to 9, now 10. Utah doesn't have a quarterback. 46.5 didn't move. So UCF 10, they're an over team with the 27 defense. Utah is an under with the 21. Utah just with quarterback problems. Cam Rising, they find the guy Rose. He gets hurt, out for the year. Utah really had bad luck this year. If Rising plays, they're in the playoffs, and without him, I mean, they're barely winning. So be careful with this game. UCF probably gets the W, but because it's at UCF, but be careful with it. Let's look at just the big games tomorrow. Let's see. Interesting one. Army is 7:55 to UTSA. UTSA is playing very strong ball. And that should be a very good game. And our big game is Ohio State, now down to 19.5, 42.5. So I still haven't made up my mind. Ohio State, when you look at them in the big games, lose to Oregon, give up points. Penn State, it's 20-13. Indiana, it's 17-15. I'm not going to call the punt return points and the drop points. You're not going to get a punt return on Michigan, and is the punter going to drop it? All right, maybe you have a fumble in the game, but they didn't dominate Indiana, and they didn't dominate Penn State. And Michigan has the good defense. That's why everybody said, "Oh, Indiana hasn't played anybody." Well, they fucking played Washington, and they fucking played Michigan. So if Michigan beats Ohio State, all of a sudden Indiana goes, "Hey, we beat them, right?" If Michigan wins, Indiana's in the playoffs because that will make that win much better. Now, I don't think Ohio State, I don't think Michigan can win with the quarterback, but we'll see. They'll play a lot of trick plays, and they got a strong defense. Ohio State, they've lost 3 in a row. I can't believe they lost to them last year. So a little bit better quarterback, Will Howard. They're not scoring the 50 points a game that they usually do. And, they're the A team. I'm very torn on this game because I want to bet Ohio State, but I think this point spread's too much. Michigan, they don't. Well, let's check injuries here. Michigan, now the key injury, Loveland, their All-American tight end's questionable. I can't imagine him missing. The Johnston, the defensive back, I thought was not going to play in the game because he had to get ready for the NFL. Real loser that guy is. Otherwise, I have no idea who any of these guys are in Michigan. Ohio State, nobody big. Ohio State, 2 all linemen are out with Achilles and a knee, and a running back, Caffey's out. So that's been Ohio State's problem is the offensive lineman. They got a third one who's questionable with the lower body. If he can walk, you play in this game. I don't know how Michigan put up 50 points, but let's take the Indiana game. They lost 20-15 against Oregon. They lost by 21, 38-17. They beat Michigan State 24. Illinois, they got a whole 7. Washington 17, but held them to 20 points. really only once. Oregon put up 38 on them. So Ohio State, I don't think they have a better offense than Indiana, and they held them to 20. So that's my look at it. Forget the Northwestern 50 points. That's what senior day is, right? All the seniors last game, they got lucky. Northwestern, doesn't score anyway. A lot of turnovers. If we look at the Warren, probably his best game of his life, 26 to 35 for 195 yards, one touch, one interception. Against Indiana, 16 to 32, 137 yards. So you're not going to get passing by Michigan. You're going to get running, and Ohio State's been tough to run on. Ohio State, Will Howard, 22 of 26 for 200 yards, 2 touches and a pick against Indiana. They beat Northwestern 31-7. They beat Purdue 45-0. They beat Penn State 20-13. Nebraska 21-17. So I'm not impressed by Ohio State here. And you've got to remember, this is a killer rivalry. I am afraid to go more than 14 with Ohio State here. I could get, looks like there's an 18. I can get a 12.5, 13. But I don't know that I don't think I trust it. I've seen it. I've seen this pitcher 3 times in Ohio State in revenge games, and they lost all 3. They should win, and they could win 45-7 like they do against Purdue. I just don't. I don't think Michigan scores enough to do it. Although I look at the Indiana game, 20-15, Indiana won, but that's kind of where I'm at with this game. Could be an under more than Ohio State, even though it's a revenge game. I don't buy what they're smelling. I don't smell what they're cooking, Rock. I don't smell it. All right, let's see. Tennessee, 10.5, 48.5 to our Vanderbilt. We got a lot of balls if we take Vanderbilt there. North Texas, Temple. North Texas, 11. Temple, the Z team, 64. We could play them. Clemson, South Carolina. Clemson is 349. This should be a tease the dog game. Troy gets Southern Miss. Is Troy any good? Let's see. Troy, can they score enough? Southern Miss, yeah, they got killed by South Alabama. We locked it. We got killed by Texas State. We locked it. They got killed by Marshall. We should have locked it. They were only laying 13. God, we missed that one. James Madison beats them 32-15. Arkansas State 44-28. Lou Monroe. So basically Southern Miss loses every game by 20 points. Can Troy score? Let's see Troy. 51-30 to Lou Lafayette, who's very good. Georgia Southern, they beat 28-20. And Coastal Carolina, 38-20. So they're starting to score the last 4 games. 31 on Ark State, Coastal Carolina, 28. Lou Lafayette, who's a very good defensive team, they put up 30. Let's see who's Troy's quarterback. Caldwell. So we have to see Troy Caldwell. We'll have to check his stats. So when I catch a new quarterback, I write them down and I change this. I got a quarterback sheet. And so I go, oh, well, for Troy, it's this guy, but they might have changed. I don't catch it all. So when I do catch the change, I got to make sure I got Caldwell. Titus, my man, how are you? Well, there you go. Lions, Packers over. Good man. I lost with it. I was laying 4.5, but I like how you play it. So good for you. I think we got one game. I don't have a lot today. And I'm not playing Oakland, Kansas City. It's a rivalry game. KC, they got a 13. We're going to lay 7. Not with what I see. So I'm not really going to be on that. I'm just letting that one go. We do have our lock on Sunday, which Titus has. And we got 5 locks tomorrow. So I don't need to fuck with Kansas City, Oakland. I did have one play. I'll email you, Titus, uh, today. And just what, I mean, maybe I can give you a second. I don't know. I'm afraid to play Georgia Tech because I don't want to fuck with Georgia, but I think that's a pretty good play. But I played another one and I added it. So we'll see about Troy over Southern Miss because we've been hot teasing against Southern Miss. But you're welcome, Titus. I'm glad you won. We'll see. We should have a huge tomorrow and a huge Sunday. Well, Sunday we don't have that many plays, but it should be the ones we played should be huge. Just like Green Bay yesterday. I really like the Lions under, but because when I thought about it, I said, well, Caleb's not going to do anything, but they have a good defense, Chicago, and they held them to a lot of field goals. Detroit, they fumbled at the 5, and then they missed the field goal. The guy never misses. Otherwise, it would have, we would have won with our 4.5 and 3.5. Let's see. So Troy, possibility. I haven't played it yet. SMU Cal. This is a big game for SMU. 13.5, 57 at home. We got Miami and Syracuse. Miami 10.5, 67 to Syracuse. This should get high score. Arizona State needs it to win the division. Arizona's just not that good. It is a rivalry. It is a big revenge game. I think Arizona beat them like 62-0 last year. So, I expect Arizona to play. USC, Notre Dame 7.5, 51. They've been looking good against Army and Navy. Can they play against the real team? USC, Mayavi is good, and they beat UCLA 19-13 last week. Should be an interesting game. Alabama, Auburn. How does Alabama do after losing, playing like a high school team to fucking Oklahoma, who everybody beat Oklahoma? This is Missouri, Mississippi, Tennessee, Georgia. Well, I don't think Georgia played them. Texas, I think, killed them. And Alabama gets 3 points on him. How bad is Milrose? I thought he was better than this. I ain't touching Alabama, but they got to be on fire after putting up a whopping 3 points and getting the shit beat out of them by a terrible Oklahoma team. Tell you, I have another 18 parlay and an 18 teaser going. Got 6 games to go. Oh, okay, good. I'm waiting on the tip, Titus. I need my Thanksgiving Day tip. So, are you selling the picks again? So that would be good too. Yeah, sell the locks, or sell at least the pro games. Arkansas, Missouri. We don't care about that. North Carolina fired their coach, Mac Brown. Don't know why they hired him. He never does anything. Usually a good offense. We'll see. I just want to get the big games tomorrow. Indiana, 29, 28.5, 56 to Purdue. Purdue's the Z team. Indiana has to win for the playoff and has to hope Michigan wins for the playoff, because if Michigan beats Ohio State, that win looks a whole lot better, because right now they haven't played anybody. Well, they played Michigan and they played Washington. What the fuck do you want them to do? They just didn't play Oregon. They played Ohio State, and they played them good. So look for them to really light it up tomorrow. Florida State, revenge game. Florida State won last year. Florida State sucks this year. Bobby's game, Bobby 6-47, LSU against Oklahoma. LSU, Oklahoma's got to be flatter than a doornail here after the beating Alabama. They gotta be flat. Oregon, Washington. This is double revenge for Oregon. They lost twice to Washington last year, costing the playoffs. Washington's not very good this year, and Oregon has to win, and they are at home. Texas A&M, Texas 5.5, 49. The game's at A&M. This should be an A team. And BYU, Houston. BYU must win. They did it for the conference. They're 13-41. Houston's falling apart, and that's it. All right, so I got to go get my car oil changed. I trade in picks for my oil, so I get a free oil change. Titus, good for you. I hope you make some more. Anyway, that's what's going on. Again, watch Russia go to a gold-backed currency soon. I don't know if it'll be Monday, but it's soon because the ruble's getting killed, which is probably what they want, so they can come out with the gold standard saying, our dollar's no good, we need gold. So look for that. Let's see what gold's at now. Gold's 26.55. It dropped to 52, back to 55. $30.70 is silver. And anybody email me. LinkedIn, the Royal Caribbean, and the Coats Outlet. Well, we win this one, TK. Your tip is going to be huge. Okay, well, sounds good. Yeah, I'm sure they want the pick, so charge them an arm and a leg. Anyway, so let's go from there. And good luck, Titus. Vegas, make some money for us. And outside that, I got to go get my oil change. Then I'll probably go to the club and swim because it's close to it. It's at 11. It's 10:30, and I got snow to deal with on my car. All right, have a good day. Happy Thanksgiving. I'll be back later. We'll do economics and get a little more thorough into college, a little bit more on who needs the games for the divisions and stuff. But right now, I got to run, but I wanted to talk football for today. So we've got it. All right. Have a good day, everybody. www.teaserking.com. You can buy. There's a ton of locks Saturday and Sunday. I highly recommend. And we don't want Titus to be the only one making $18,000 now, do we? All right. Take care. Have a good day. All right. Bye-bye.